Oh man, are y'all in for a treat? Justine has worked with massive Fortune 500 and higher companies in their digital marketing branding strategy. She's the founder and CEO of Million Dollar Branders, an author, a speaker, and a legacy builder. This is not an exaggeration. This is really impressive. These are all clients she's worked with: Coke, Dove, Nike, Purina, Canon, American Express, Optus, you name it. She's worked with massive brands. She's been widely recognized in her native country of Australia as one of the top marketing and branding experts to watch. She and I had a very amazing conversation around the nuances of brand and what it means to take big brand ideas and bring them into the entrepreneurial space. It's really where we kick off the conversation, is why is it that small business and entrepreneurs are really something that are near and dear towards her heart and mine as well, and how can we take some of the principles that she instilled in large corporations and bring them to bear in agencies and small businesses across the world. So if you're ready to up your branding game, you're ready to get a little bit hyped by someone who's been there, done that, and has the resume, I am so ready for you to listen to this conversation with myself and Justine. So without taking too long, let's get into the convo with Justine. Why do you love the entrepreneurial journey?
It's never the same road.
Yeah.
Ever. No matter what you do. And the success is uncapped. You can't get the same amount of success. Well, actually, no. You can get the same amount of success, but I think it's more, I was saying like working for someone else. Yeah. But I just think when you work for yourself and you're changing lives and building legacies through other people too, I don't know, for me, that's so rewarding with what I do.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So I checked you out before we brought you on and everything.
You're stalking me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you live online, like
as
you and I
should.
do. Yeah, isn't that weird that like that's an experience that just the rest of human history doesn't have, and then it's like the past 20 years, it's just like, well, now we can see what everybody's doing all the time. It's so
my
crazy.
Gosh. Well, I was watching Mad Men a while ago, a few months back, rewatching it because I love that show. And I was just thinking, imagine if they had Tinder back in those days, or like, what would they do with them? They were naughty as it was. Like, what do you do with an app like Tinder? Mad Men.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, because I think that so that's interesting to me, because I think that there's been a shift in now. So I was hearing somebody talk about this, and I thought it was really interesting, Justine. But they're saying like there used to be a shortage of women, which is part of the reason why it was like oppressive and not great, like why the patriarchy occurred. And now there's a shortage of men that are seen as desirable, and so the men that are really desirable just are hooking up with all of the women that they want, because they're in such small supply that it's like we'll do whatever it takes to get that attention. And it's like so strange, the role, like really it's flipped in like 50 years. I mean, it's just crazy.
Oh no. Wow.
But yeah, anyways, super.
Well, let's build some high quality men, shall we?
Right? Yeah, I've talked with I've friends that have been married, got divorced and whatever, and they're on the dating scene now, and they're like, Dave, I'm just a nice guy who has like a decent job. Yes. I'm not very tall. I'm not like super athletic. And they're like, I get asked I could go on dates 3 times a day. Like, I'm like, what?
Whoa. Crazy.
Well, just because the supply and demand. Yeah, there's just not that many guys that are like doing stuff, which is really interesting to me. Anyways.
Yeah.
So you started this this firm, Million Dollar Branders.
Yes.
And one of my favorite things to ask people is like, because obviously, Justine, like you're driven, you're super smart, you're talented, you could do anything.
Thank you so much.
You are. I've watched I've watched some of your stuff. I know what you're up to. You're brilliant.
Thank you.
Why do this thing? You know, because like you could do anything. You'd have great success at it. Why choose this?
Oh my gosh. Well, I actually haven't done just this, which I'll go into with you, but this is my pure love. Like
Yeah.
I would say it's my obsession, it's my kryptonite. It's the reason why I wake up in the morning. And it goes back to what we were talking about a bit offline, how it enables me to build legacies and legacy brands for people. So when you think of, you're helping someone to literally make money from nothing, because we're a full service agency. So if someone comes and they go, I have this crazy idea, like we've literally built like cat hotels and dog hotels, like to NASCAR drivers, to corporate CEOs, to Fortune 500. So there's nothing crazy to me when people come to me. Hey, I've had this idea. Hey, sometimes stuff has been pretty crazy, but I think it's all in the execution. But when that client or that customer gets that first sale, and it's their dream job, and they've been
Yeah.
working a job they hate for like 9 years, that's you're helping them create a legacy. So that's where I get rewarded. And it may sound corny, but I walk the walk and I talk the talk. And if I'm going to work with you, it's 100 or nothing. We're going to make it work. It's ride or die. But I won't touch anything I'm not 100% about in terms of work, because I've got to be working with people who will put in the hard work too. And I think it's just rewarding. Like I look at myself not just as an expert in my field, it's almost an entrepreneurial coach. And for the first time this year, I'm actually coming out with a course of my own to help people on that entrepreneurial journey, because as you know, Dave, it's not an easy one. So
Yeah, I love that. The building of the legacy thing. That's really amazing. And I love that you're like, yeah, we just work on like all sorts of crazy ideas. You know, one of the things that I've found too, Justine, is like what you said, and a lot of people may have missed it, is that because some people will say it as a platitude. I believe that you mean it. Um, we only work with people that we know that we can help.
yes, I'm 1,000,000%.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where we do the same, and we tell people all the time, and we mean it. We will disqualify 55 to 65% of the people that book a meeting with us that want to work with us. And
Yes.
some people don't believe me, and I'm like, that's fine, you don't have to, but I'm telling you that's true. And then the reason why our client retention is really high, the reason why we have lots of happy customers is because we do that instead of going, oh, you've got a pulse and a checkbook? Cool, give us your money.
Exactly. Because I think that there comes a time where actually they talk about money being a tool, and the more money you
Yeah.
make, the more it's a tool to help others. But if someone has actually got an idea that's a bit too out there, and you're not helping them by saying, yeah, we can execute by taking their money. And also I'm quite spiritual. I believe in karma. So what you put
Ditto.
out, you get back, right?
Yes.
And that's it. You got to learn what to say no to. And that goes for people, that goes for everything. So
Yeah. Yeah. Where did you so speaking of karma, where did you get how were you first introduced to karma? What was your like engagement with that? Why do you believe in it? Tell me everything.
okay, so I know I'm very wary this is going on the internet. No, I'm kidding. This is never
No
gonna
one will
come.
hear it. So
Yeah, no one will hear it at all. So I think I've honestly, and I'm not saying this to be corny, I've always been a really, really good person. But I went to a school where I encountered, I immigrated from Johannesburg, South Africa at the age of 11 and a half to Australia. And Dave, I had a really freaking tough time at school, like
mm,
really tough. Like I was
oh,
ridiculed, I was called bullied, I was called dumb, ugly. Oh my gosh, the list goes on. And I'm not saying this as a sob story. I'm just saying this like I thank those people, because it literally made me who I am today. And
yeah.
without those experiences, I just wouldn't be who I am. But I'm always wary that there's someone going through something that you can't see on a physical level. Like just saying hello to someone, just being nice to someone, just giving a smile, saying good morning, you're going to have a great day today. You look good. That jacket looks fantastic. The little things like that have domino effect. And it may just be that little act of kindness that changes their day or changes something that they have to deal with in that day, and it spills onto other people. But just with karma, you know, because I had such a tough time myself, I've always believed in, you know, I kind of went the other way. I was like, I'm going to make sure that anyone in my position does not go through what I went through. And it was funny because, you know, fast forward many years later, I got asked to speak at my old school. And I got up on stage and I said, there are going to be many of you kids sitting in those seats who are not academic, because I went to a private school, who are not academic, who are mentally challenged with maths. But I want to tell you that you are brilliant and you have something inside of you that's a gift. And that's the gift you need to play on, because that's the gift that's going to make you successful. Like, I was brilliant in English. I loved art. I aced all my art classes. Like, so my creative side came out, and that's what I've excelled in. And that's what I really tapped into. So just because we're not good at some things doesn't mean that we're not good at other things. And I think that's just what people forget. But karma is just a matter of, I think, lifting other people, and you get it back. Great things happen to you if you're a good person in this world.
Yeah, and I think that that's a thing that's often missed, right, Justine? Is like, I was just
Absolutely.
telling a story about a person that they were in a bad way, right? They were just in a really bad circumstance that they had played a role in, but there was also a lot of things that other people had played roles in where they were just completely gutted, you know, like they lost their fortune. They sorry, my dog decided to get up and shake.
We love dogs.
Yeah, who doesn't love a good dog? And anyways, long story short, basically he came to me, he's like, hey, if you can give me some money, like it was like $3,000, which for me, this, because it was a long time ago, that was a good bit of money. And he goes, it'll help me keep my house. And I was like, keep your house?
Wow.
You know? And I was like, yeah, man. Yeah, I got you. And
Well,
he's,
kindness.
yeah, but the thing that's crazy, Justine, is that he's repaid that kindness back to me tenfold. You know what I mean?
Unbelievable, because you never forget.
Yeah, no, there's always a
No,
sense of respect and love for the person
absolutely.
that takes care of you. And then when he decides to, you know, return that, I'm always super grateful for it. I don't expect it, but it's so kind. And so it ends up leading to this beautiful circle of us taking care of each other. I know that I can feel that just oozing out of you, which, gosh, Justine, that's so beautiful.
I'm like, take it. I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
kidding. Thank
so
you.
good.
Thank you so much. It's
What's
important. It's important.
what are some of the things that you've done? Because I being bullied as a kid is hard, and there's a hard work that goes into going, okay, I'm not going to use that as a um that happened to me, so it's an excuse for me not to do anything. It's an excuse for me to
Yes.
be less successful than I could be. What was the
Yeah.
process? And I'm sure it took time, but what was the process for you to go, no, that was actually something that happened for me, not to me?
Do you want to know something funny? I'm actually reading a book at the moment called Relentless. I
I
don't know if
love
you've
that
heard of
book.
it.
It's a great book.
Yeah, I love it. And I can't believe it took me this long to find it, because no one I know has read it or found it. And I just did not think, if I'm being really honest, I didn't think about it because, you know, I had two immigrant parents. I had to literally grow up from a very young age. So I had two jobs at the age of 11 and a half, 12. I would go to school 5 days a week. I would work on weekends. I get teased for working on the weekends, you
Wow.
know. So I didn't think, there was no option for me, if I'm being honest. You know, in that book, how he says, just don't think. You can't think when you're going
Right.
through. Well, I think I'm a cleaner, to be honest. You know how it
Yep.
goes through the for those of you, you're gonna have to read it to understand what I'm saying
A,
here. But
a cooler, a
I
closer, and
think
a
that,
cleaner.
yes, exactly. I think that's partly me. And I just I think in this world, you get one life and you have one responsibility to be the best person that you can be. And
Mhm.
people in this world have had much rougher childhoods than me, that have really turned their life around and got their stuff together. And in particular, like I go to the gym, right, basically 5-6 days a week. And I come from a bodybuilding background, not the Arnold Schwarzenegger type, like the nice bikini type, right? But I'm very disciplined and extremely disciplined with everything. Like I barely drink. I'll have like a social drink sometimes, little things like that that spill into your life. But there's one guy who goes to my gym who's in a wheelchair, and he's there like 5-6 days a week. And I look at him as an example and just go, wow, like there are really no excuses in your attitude in your life. And there are these people walking around everywhere. So I believe, in going back to myself, that it's my responsibility to do what I was put on this earth to do. I've been given one life, and that's changed lives. Because why else am I here? What am I doing otherwise? Like there are people that need our help every single day. But I'm going to also like magnify that and say that if you don't help yourself be the very highest version of yourself, and you would know this, Dave, because I know you live in this, but you cannot help other people to the level that you want to.
Right.
So that's something that I've really had to learn over time. And it's everything. It's like from the way that you speak to yourself in your head, because your mind is your most powerful tool in your life. Your mind and your body. And then I will go on to say your spirit and your soul. And this is stuff that I've learned through reading, through mentors. But we just have a responsibility to do better in this world. This world is crazy at the moment. It's crazy.
Yes, crazy is an understatement, probably. It's I mean, it's wild.
And the only way to change it is to be better in ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're thinking about you have to figure it out for yourself first. It's like when you and I were talking about you're about to take a trip to the States, and it's like every time you get on an airplane, they do the flight instructions. They're like, always put your mask on first and then put it on, someone that's a child or that can't do it themselves, right? And it's like that's the whole idea here, is like you do have to get yourself to a place where you're stable enough that you can actually help other people, and that sometimes is a real challenge.
Yes, it is. And there it goes back to exactly, I didn't realize how aligned with that book I actually was. It was scary. It was scary reading it. It was like listening to my own voice, because I never had a mentor saying, go to gym, do this, do this. Like I've got a trainer, obviously, but it's little things like that. It's like sometimes in life, you're just going to have to do things you don't want to do. Actually, most times in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you have those days too, Dave, where you wake up and you're like, I don't want to go to work today, or I don't want to go to gym, but that mind, just, you got to switch that stuff out.
Yeah, I mean, I do recommend the book Relentless, by the way. It's the guy that wrote it trained Michael Jordan, and he's trained a whole bunch of other NBA players and different athletes, and now he's coaching business leaders and CEOs. But I think that there's, one of the things that David Goggins says is he's like, before you know who he is? Yeah, of course you do. And he's like, yeah, you think that I want to wake up at 4 and go for a 26-mile run? I don't want to do that. He's like, sometimes I'll wake up and I just stare at my shoes for 30 minutes. And that's like, so one of the reasons why I'm so thankful for him is that he makes, we all feel that way.
Yes, we all do.
There are days where it's like, I don't want to have this call with this client because I really don't like them.
Absolutely.
And I wouldn't have sold them, but my sales team did. So now I'm left holding the bag. And so then you just go, okay, and you gear up for it. And I mean, I'm sure that you had this, but when I was in college, my wife and I got married very young. And so we were still in school when we were married, and she had to do an unpaid internship. And so I had to make money, and I was doing this job that paid well for the time and space that it was. I was making $17 an hour. I thought I was crushing it, man, as a senior in college, but it was absolutely brutal. And so literally I'd have to travel every day to go to it. and it'd be in traffic. I was living in Washington, D.C., so traffic's terrible. So I'd have to leave like 2 hours before I needed to be to a location at like 9:30. And so I'd leave at 7:30. I'd get there. I'd usually get there early. I'd have to wait in the parking lot. And so for 45 minutes, I'm just in my car going, you can do this,
Oh my
man.
gosh.
You can
I
do
know
this.
that feeling, actually.
Yeah.
I know that feeling.
Oh, really? Did you have a job that was like that
Yes.
too?
Oh yeah.
What was it?
A
What was the
few.
job?
I had so many. I worked at, actually my very first job as a kid, they looked after me really well. I used to work in a donut shop.
Nice.
And it taught me product placement. Like, it actually